Good afternoon. Today's shir is Le'ela Nishmat, Miki's brother, Avraham Yosef ben Yaakov HaKohen. Today's is your side, Le'ela Nishmato. Also, the shir is Le'ela Nishmat, Elimelech ben Levi Yitzchak, Osher ben Yosef, Rivka ben Yitzchak Isaac, Tzvi Dov ben Chaim Pesach, Yitzchak ben Sarah, Devorah bas Yitzchak, Fred ben Jules. Le'ela Nishmas, Avram ben Mordechai David, Reuben ben Shmuel, Chana Golda bas Yisrael. Ben Richard, you told me Jules.
I know, but that's his second part.
Did you say which papers are two different ones?
Yeah, both. Yeah. Reuven ben Shmuel, Chana Golda bas Yisrael, Chaim ben Fege, Yaakov ben Yitzchak, Yeshua ben Shmuel, Mordechai Netzach ben Rivka, Zalman Lei ben Moshe, Amichai ben Yaakov. Got it all? Le'ela Nishmatam. We're elevating their neshama. Today's shir is HaAtzma'ut, our double victory over Hitler. Say what? Yes. Yehuda's kind enough, is kind enough to hand out the papers, and also Moshe. There are two different sheets. One says number 1 and one says number 3. Okay, it's important to have both sheets. Alfie, you have 1 and 3. Two separate sheets. One says 1 and one says 3. Okay? Seeing is believing. Right? Our double victory over Hitler. Yom HaAtzma'ut is our double victory over Hitler. So we should have two papers. Buddy, you have it? One paper says number 1 and one paper says number 3. Reuven, you got them both? You ain't got them both. Okay. Do you mind just passing back? Okay. Where's Moshe with the other papers?
He gave back to me.
He gave them back to you? Oh. Okay. You just pass them back? Just two papers. One says 1 and one says 3. Okay, look at page number 1, please. Page number 1. On top of the page it says Gemara Sanhedrin. See that? And it's underlined in yellow. Gemara Sanhedrin in mine handwriting. How do we know Mashiach is around the corner? Elisheva, see page number 1? It's Gemara and Sanhedrin on top of my handwriting. Ein kates megula mizah. What's the clearest sign that the end is coming? There's a pasuk in Yecheskel. Va'atem hara Yisrael. God tells Yecheskel in chapter 36, on top of page 1 in my handwriting, Va'atem hara Yisrael, you mountains of Israel. God is addressing the mountains of Israel. Anafchem titenu uprichem la'ami Yisrael. Your branches and your fruits will give to my people Israel, kikerev lavo, because the gula is very close. Says Rashi, when Eretz Yisrael gives out its peirot ba'ayin yofeh, that's a clear sign Mashiach is coming. You go to Machne Yehuda, you see Eze Perot Ayin Yofeh in Eretz Yisrael. For 2,000 years, the land was barren, right? Like a moonscape. When the Jews came back in 48, the land began to blossom. The desert bloomed. So Rashi in Sanhedrin, page 98, says that's the clearest sign that the Mashiach is around the corner. I hope everybody has two papers. You have it? And one says number 1, and one says number 3. Baruch Hashem, we're covered, okay? Seeing is believing. Now, you go to Machne Yehuda, you see a dazzling display of fruits that you don't see anywhere in the world. And when Mark Twain was here in the 1850s, he said he never saw such a desolate moonscape, forsaken, barren. And that's why the country looked until 1948. And therefore, that's why the British called, where the Jews lived, the British called it the Green Line. Because where the peace partners lived was a moonscape. And where the Jews lived was green. So the Britain came up with the Green Line. So it's actually a fulfillment of a prophecy in Yecheskel 36 that the desert will bloom only when what? When the Jewish people come back. Yes?
In Gush Katif, the same thing. You could see wherever Jews settled, it was green. You just saw the line.
Across the line, the peace partners was a moonscape. Now look at the side number 1, Parshas Bahar. Chaim, fasten your seatbelt. See side number 1, Dr. Peter, Parshas Bahar in my handwriting. Parshas Bahar, there's a pasuk, V'shaftem ish el achizoto. Every man shall return to his possession. Toshuvu shall return. It says V'shaftem ish el achizoto in Bahar 25, Leviticus 25. Every man shall return to his possessed land that he possesses. Then it says again the word Toshuvu, which seems to be redundant. It says every man shall return. So why write the word again? Return. Toshuvu. And the word Toshuvu is written Chasar Vav. Alfie, it's not a typo. Leviticus 25:10 says, V'shaftem ish al chizoto, every man shall return to his inherited land. And then it says again the word Toshuvu. And it's Chasar Vav. What is Chasar Vav? It's missing a Vav. What is Toshuvu Gematria without a Vav? 5708. Tafshin Bez Vav. Chasar Vav is Gematria 5708. So when will we come back to our land? In the year Tafshin Bez Vav, which is 5708. What does that translate in the secular year? 1948. So we came back in Tafshin Bet Vav. Well, we came back missing a Vav. We came back, what is Vav Gematria? 6. Nebuch, missing 6 million Yidden. I mean, just look at the paper. Leviticus 25:10, Parashat Bahar, V'shaftem ish al chizoto, every man toshuvu. Otherwise, it's redundant. You already said V'shaftem, and you have the word Toshuvu again. So it's not redundant. The word Toshuvu is written Chasar Vav, which is Gematria, Tafshin Bet Vav is Gematria 5708, a Jewish state in 48. Right. But Chasar, 6 million. Vav is Gematria 6, Nebuch lacking 6 million. Now, Wednesday night and Thursday, we should say Hallel. Some people don't want to say Hallel, right? So let's see what the Talmud says about saying Hallel. With a bracha, without a bracha, just say it. The Talmud is very Haredi. Look at side number 1. See where it's underlined in yellow? It's a pasuk in Isaiah. Lemarbe hamisra u'lesholem ein kates. See that underlined in yellow on side 1? To him who increases God's authority, and for him there shall be peace without end. What is that? Pasuk, please shut off the cell phone. Footnote 10, this is a pasuk in Isaiah. So the word marbeh is written very funny. It's written with a mem sofit in the middle of the word. See that? Lemarbeh hamisra, l'sholem ein kates. Omer Rav Tamchan, Dorish bar kapara b'tzipori, b'pnei ma kol mem shebe'emtza teva patuach. Every letter mem in the middle of the word is an open mem. V'zeh satum, but this letter men appears to be what? Closed. The word marbeh on the underline yellow. Bikesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu lasas Cheskiyah Mashiach. The closed mem is a signal that God wanted to make Cheskiyah HaMelech the Mashiach. Chaim, you have this? V'sancherev Gog u'Magog. Mashiach could have been here 2,500 years ago. But what happened? Amar midas hadin lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rebbeinu shel olam. Please turn over the paper. Rebbeinu shel olam. Ma David Melech Yisrael Shoma Kama Shira Sikishbocha Lashem Loisasa Mashiach. King David praised you with Hallel, and you didn't make him Mashiach. Cheskiyah Oshaloi Kala Nisim Halolu V'Lo Yom Mashiach V'Necha Taseo Mashiach. Cheskiyah Melech, God did so many miracles for him, and yet he what? He didn't say Hallel. You want to make him Mashiach? Lekach nistatem. Therefore, the letter mem is what? In marbeh is what? Closed up. So you look at note 15, Yehuda. You have that? Note 15? Rashi offers 3 ways of explaining the symbolic importance of this closed mem. A, the mem was closed to indicate that God originally planned to make Cheskiyah the Mashiach, which would have halted all the troubles of Israel. B, it indicates that God's plan to make Cheskiyah the Mashiach was closed, not brought to fruition. And C, it alludes to the idea that Cheskiyah's mouth was closed. He failed to say Hallel. After God did all the miracles for him, he failed to say Hallel, and therefore what? Mashiach didn't come.
Wow.
Zisla, are you getting this? Yeah. So, if Yechezkiyahu HaMelech was very Haredi, great miracles happened to him, he didn't say Hallel, Mashiach could have come 2,500 years ago. What does that mean? No Holocaust. There'll be no Holocaust. No Chorban Bayit Rishon or Bayit Sheni. But because Cheskiyah HaMelech did not say Hallel when God did miracles for him, therefore Hashem prevented him from being the Mashiach. He didn't say Hallel. So it's 2,500 years later. So every Jew that says Hallel on Yom HaAtzma'ut is speeding up the Mashiach. That's what the Gemara is implying, no? Right? Now, just like we say Hallel on Pesach for our miraculous victory over Paro, we have to say Hallel on Yom HaAtzma'ut for our miraculous victory over Hitler. I'll explain what that means. We say Hallel on Pesach for our miraculous victory over Paro, right? So you have to say Hallel on Yom HaAtzma'ut, Chava, because I'll show you how it's a double victory, not over Paroi, but over what? Hitler. And therefore, you should say Hallel on Yom HaAtzma'ut. And whoever doesn't say Hallel, according to the Gemara here in Sanhedrin 94, is actually holding up the Mashiach. But some people say, Alfie, don't confuse me with the facts. My mind is what? Already made up. Okay? But that's what the facts. God wanted to make him Mashiach. He didn't say Hallel for miracles that God give to him, and therefore he didn't say Hallel. No Mashiach, it's 2,500 years later, and according to this Gemara, if he would have said Hallel, Elisheva, no Chorban, no Shoah. You have to go to plan B now, okay? So, the importance of praising God for miracles. Please take a look at side number 3. Sheet number 3, please. See the Hebrew text? It says number 3, number 3, number 3. Now, according to Kabbalah, Sharona, every pasuk in the Torah corresponds to a calendar year. Every pasuk in the Torah corresponds to a calendar year. If you count from Bereshis 1:1 to pasuk Chav Chet, so you have underlined pasuk Chav Chet, that's the 5705 verse in the Torah. If you don't believe me, Nechama, I see you're skeptical. You count from Genesis 1:1, you'll see that pasuk Chav Chet, doctor, underlined in yellow, happens to be the 5705 verse in the Torah. 5705. According to Kabbalah, Rabbi Abraham, every verse in the Torah corresponds to a calendar year. 5705 verse in the Torah corresponds to the year 5705. The secular year was what? 1945, when the horrors of the Holocaust were revealed, and people said, Shelley, why? What does God answer in Pasuk Chav Ches? Hope you fasten your seatbelts, Connie, for this one. Ha-nistorot l'Hashem Eloheinu. That's nistar. English word mystery. Ha-nistoros l'Hashem Eloheinu. That's nistar. Why God allowed the Holocaust? That's nistar. That's a mystery. Only He knows. V'haniglois. But what do we know? Lasot eskol divra haTorah hazos. We don't know why God allowed the Holocaust. 5705. That's 1945. The horrors of the Holocaust were revealed, and people asked why. What does God answer? Hanistorot Hashem Eloheinu. Only God knows. But what's Lanu L'Vaneinu? But what's revealed? Lanu L'Vaneinu is what? Lasot eskol divra Torah zos. We still have to do all of the Torah despite the Holocaust. Moshe, are you looking in? It's just amazing. Okay? The English word mystery, Nechama, nistar.
Today is VE Day.
Now, there are exactly 58:45 verses in the Torah. If you don't believe me, you can count. That means Mashiach must come before the year 58:45. We are now, Zistel, in the year what? 5776. Who's good in math? Chaim. What? Mashiach has to come by the year 58:45. How do I know? Because we run out of verses. David, you do your exercise, you take your spirulina, and we're going to make it. How many years is it?
69.
Only 69 years. Rabbi Yaakov. Exercise, take your spirulina, and you're going to make it. How do we know Mashiach has to come before 58:45? Because Api Kabbalah, every verse in the Torah corresponds to a year of history. His story, get it? But 58:45 verses in the Torah. So Mashiach has to come by then because we run out of verses. Okay? So where was I? So verse 57:05, that's Hanistorot. The rabbis are called Sofrim. What does Sofrim mean? They count because the rabbis count. There are exactly 58:45 verses in the Torah. There's exactly 79,847 words in the Torah. There's exactly 304,805 letters in the Torah. And if you don't believe me, you can count. Okay. And what's amazing is, we're now in the year 5776. Look up the 5776 verse in the Torah. You'll see exactly what's happening now. That's a homework assignment. But now, if Pasuk Chavches is the 57:05 verse in the Torah, which corresponds to 1945, count down 3 psukim to Pasuk Gimel. You see it's highlighted, Chava, or you don't? Pasuk Gimel, in yellow. Vishav Hashem Elokecha Shivutcha. God will bring back your captivity. Pasuk Gimel, it's highlighted. V'rachmecha, he will have compassion on you. Vishav, and he himself will what? Return. V'kibetzcha mikol ha'amim, and he will gather you from all the nations. Ashefitzcha Hashem Elokecha shama, which God has scattered you there. What's amazing about this pasuk? Sonia, fasten your seatbelts. Who said that? This happens to be the 57:08 verse in the Torah, which is describing exactly, Rabbi Abraham, what took place in the year 57:08. What's the year 57:08? 1948. A Jewish state in 48. Koinky dinky. Chaim. Some people say, don't confuse me with the facts. All you have to do is count. This is the 57:08 verse in the Chumash, which predicts exactly what took place in 57:08. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought us all back, and He had mercy on us. He brought us back from all over. I come from Brooklyn, my wife comes from Persia. That process began in 57:08, and that's exactly what the Torah is describing in which pasuk?
57:08.
Kawinky dinky? I don't think so. But some people say, don't confuse me with the facts. My mind's made up. Now, is it amazing that Avraham Avinu was born in the year 1948? Now, even though it's a secular year, but there are no coincidences. The first Hebrew, the first mitzvah that Avraham was given was what? Lech Lecha. The first Hebrew who was born in 1948 from creation was given the first mitzvah to come to Eretz Yisrael and a Jewish state in 48. It cannot be what? A coincidence.
So it's to leave the galut.
Huh?
Is the same as saying leave the galut.
Exactly. Lech lecha me'artzecha. Leave Borough Park and come to Israel, right? Leave Babylon, Long Island. Okay? The first Jew, Abraham, was giving the first mitzvah way before Brit Milah. Make Aliyah. And he was born in 48, a Jewish state in 48. It's just amazing that Pasuk Gimel, doctor, you see that? Is describing exactly what took place in the 5708, a Jewish state in 48. And this just happens to be the 5708 verse in the Chumash. So right after the Holocaust, right? Rav Soloveitchik said that the UN vote in 1948 was an open miracle. In 47. How else could Russia and the United States, the height of the Cold War, bitter enemies, both vote for the state of Israel? Rav Soloveitchik says that is what mamish, an open miracle. Russia and the U.S., Stalin and Truman, they should vote for partition. Miracle. Wonder of wonder, miracles of what? Of miracles, right? Now, what? Right? Now, Pasuk Hey. But that's 1940 what? 47. That's 40. It's 50. Because Pasuk Gimel is 5708. Right? 5708 is Pasuk Gimel. Right? So Pasuk Hey would be 1950. Right? Pasuk Hey would be 1950. Machon? Yeah. And now I gave you the formula. You can count 5776. That's your homework assignment. You see, the Pasuk in 5776 is describing exactly what's taking place now. But anyway, let's get back to our topic, how Yom HaAtzma'ut is a double victory over Hitler. What do I mean by that? It's just amazing that in the Hitler bunker, they found Masechta Psachim. The Soviet army in the Hitler bunker found Tractate Psachim. Hitler was obsessed with Judaism. They found the Vilna Shas Masechta Psachim. What? That's right. In Hitler bunker, you can Google it. And the Soviet government turned it over to the United States. The United States gave it to Chief Rabbi Herzog. Wow. In Eretz Yisrael. It wasn't a Schattenstein. It was a Vilna Shas. Masechta Psachim. Because Masechta Psachim deals with the past Geula and the future Geula. Hitler was obsessed with Judaism. Yeah. He wanted to destroy not the Jewish people, but also the religion. The religion. He was after the religion. He had all of the Jewish books destroyed. This one book, he told his people, this will be the last Hebrew book in the museum. So he was not just after to destroy the Jewish people, he was after to destroy Judaism. What's amazing is there are exactly 2,711 pages in the Talmud Bavli. If you don't believe it, you can count. Talmud Bavli has exactly 2,711 pages. In the Berlin Museum today, the Holocaust Museum in Berlin, David, how many monuments are there for the Jewish people? I'll give you one guess. 2,711. Now, the Goyish architect who made that, did he know that Talmud Bavli has 2,711 pages, and the Berlin Museum for the Holocaust has exactly 2,711 matzevot. Wow. That can't be a coincidence. 3 years after a third of our people were murdered and destroyed, we came back to build this wonderful country, to build it physically and to build it spiritually. There are more people learning Torah in Israel today than ever. It's a double victory over Hitler. It's a physical victory. We survived, and we also thriving not just physically, but spiritually. Wow. Israel, the leader in high tech and medicine. In every field, Israel is the leader. There's more companies of the Israeli on the American Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ than any other company. That's why we're so hated. Huh? A third of our people were destroyed. To come back and to rejuvenate yourself, it's not normal. Nobody comes back after 2,000 years. Nobody comes back after 20 years. To come back after, like a phoenix rising out of the ashes of Auschwitz, it's just miraculous. No one comes back after 2,000 years. So this is our victory over Hitler. Eretz Yisrael rebuilt, a world leader in all fields. Now, Rav Pam Zatzal, my Rebbe, would say as follows. There's a rule in Jewish history that every time there's a great sorrow on Am Yisrael, comes Hashem's embrace and comfort and nechama. Throughout Jewish history, whenever there's a tragic period, you can check it out, there's always a period of benevolence and grace. Wow. Says Rav Pam, like a parent whose child has suffered, Hashem will embrace and console that child after the worst sorrow. Said Rav Pam, that Hakamas Medinas Yisrael, he said Hakamas, not Hakamat. Hakamas Medinas Yisrael is God's loving embrace after the Holocaust. That's our victory over Hitler. Wow. The Holocaust, losing 6 million of our people. Says Rav Pam, when a child suffers terribly, a parent has to punish, whatever, we don't know why, God embraces. And says Rav Pam, after the Holocaust, it's no coincidence that 3 years later, he says, Hakamas Medinas Yisrael was God's loving embrace of the Jewish people after the horrors of what? Of the Holocaust.
We're still getting murdered here.
What?
We're still getting murdered in Israel daily.
That's one of the prices you pay, right? Well, we have a beautiful independent country. We have our own Jewish government, the strongest army in the Middle East, but only allow them to do what they have to do, right? But anyway, let's talk a little bit about Yom HaAtzma'ut. Let's talk about Yom HaAtzma'ut. Yom HaAtzma'ut. In Parshas Eikev, we're finished with the papers now. In Parshas Eikev, the Torah calls God Hail HaGodol HaGibor VaHanorah. We say it every day, Shemon Esrei. So the Gemara in Yuma 69 comes along. Bo Yirmiyah. Yirmiyah came along. Yirmiyah saw the Chorban Beit HaMikdash, V'lo Yom HaNorah. He says, how could I call God Norah? Awesome. I don't see how awesome he is. He allowed the Babylonians to destroy the temple. So Yirmiyah came along, Gemara in Yuma 69, and didn't say that God is Norah. Yiddish Chava. If we do that, they throw us out of yeshiva. But the prophets were honest people. How could I call God Norah? I don't see his awesomeness. He allowed the Babylonians to destroy the temple and massacre the Jews. Bo Daniel, then Daniel came along. V'lo yomar Gibor. He didn't say Gibor. What does Gibor mean? A hero. I don't see that God's a hero. Daniel, another great prophet. God didn't fire them, buddy. God didn't fire them. Gemara in Yuma 69. Yirmiyahu, when he davened, didn't say Norah. Daniel didn't say Gibor. I don't see God's greatness and heroism. He allowed the Churban. Comes along the Anshe Knesset Hagdola, and they put back, as we have in our Shemon Esrei, Ho'el HaGodol HaGibor VaHanorah. It's a pasuk in Eikev. They said, Heich Uma Achat Yechola Litkayim Ben Shivim Zevim. How could one little lamb survive among the EU and the UN? That's God's greatness. That's God's greatness. That's God's greatness. So the Anshe Knesset Hagdola, they knew better than Yirmiyah and what? And Daniel? No. Different times, different perspective. When Yirmiyah and Daniel lived, all they saw was what? Churban. Destruction. So tell it like it is. Anshe Knesset Hagdola, they lived when Bayis Sheni was what? Rebuilt. They saw Churban, but they also saw what? The rebuilding, the rejuvenation. Rejuvenation. So therefore they put back Ho'el HaGodol HaGibor VaHanorah. What about us? We have the unique privilege to live through the Chorban. My parents were Holocaust survivors. So we saw the Chorban, the Holocaust, but we also saw the rebirth, the rebuilding of the state of Israel at the same time. So we should say, Ohel HaGadol HaGiba VaHanora. What awesome, after losing a third of our people, of being destroyed, to come back and rebuild? Unheard of. Unheard of. That's God's greatness. That's God's greatness. And we have to appreciate it and acknowledge. The Talmud says, Ein bal nes makir et niso. Sometimes when you are so into the miracle, you don't appreciate it. You know, you go see the Mona Lisa, you put your nose against the Mona Lisa, you don't appreciate it. You have to step back the miracles that we have every single day. Little Israel, the envy of the entire world. That's why we're so hated. High tech, low tech, smartphones, dumb phones, medicine, weaponry, it's all Israel. Where does that come from? The power to rejuvenate. And that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's great miracles. It's just amazing, David. You got to fasten your seatbelts for this. Yom HaAtzma'ut will always fall on the same calendar day as Shvi Shal Pesach. You could check this out. Now, when Ben Gurion made up Yom HaAtzma'ut, did he know that Yom HaAtzma'ut will always be the same day of the week as what? As Shvi Shal Pesach. When was the seventh day of Pesach? Friday. When is really Yom HaAtzma'ut? It's Friday. It's moved up because of Shabbos. It's just amazing. There are no coincidences. That Yom HaAtzma'ut always comes on Shvi Shal Pesach. When did the Jews really attain Cherut? The seventh day of Pesach, when the Egyptian army was drowned. So Shvi Shal Pesach was a foretaste that day of the week, whenever Shvi Shal Pesach comes out, is exactly when Yom HaAtzma'ut comes out, when we got our Cherut again. That's just pretty amazing, right? Wow. Shvi Shal Pesach, the same day of the week as what? As Yom HaAtzma'ut. That's just pretty amazing. Can that be what? Can that be a coincidence? I see you're still not impressed, Moshe. This past Shabbos, we should have read Amos Perik Tes. We didn't because it was Mocha Chodesh. If today wasn't Rosh Chodesh, the normal reading for the Haftorah of Parshas Kedoshim, which always comes out the week of Yom HaAtzma'ut, is Amos Tes. We didn't read it because Mocha Chodesh, because today's Rosh Chodesh. What does Amos Tes say? Now Amos said this 2,800 years ago. Chaim, you fastened? V'shafti shavut ami Yisrael. I will bring back the captivity of my people Israel. Ubanu orim. They will rebuild desolate cities. V'asu ginot. And they will build beautiful gardens. V'achlu priyem, and eat their fruit. Now, when Amos said this, okay, but it usually goes together. Achamois Kedoshim goes together. Usually goes together. So the Haftorah, which is always read on Yom HaAtzma'ut week, from 2,800 years ago, is describing exactly what took place in Yom HaAtzma'ut. V'shafti shavut am Yisrael. I will bring back the captivity of people Israel, and they will rebuild desolate cities. When Amos said this, the cities weren't desolate. The temple was standing in all of its glory. What does it mean? Rebuild desolate cities, plant beautiful gardens. Pisgat Zev, where I live, until 1967, looked like a moonscape. Now, a moonscape, Pisgat Zev. And now it's the blossoming gardens, orchards. So when Amos said this, what's he talking about? The Jews were not desolate. The cities were not destroyed. So obviously he's what? He's prophesizing from 2,800 years ago what's happening what? Now. Amos chapter 9, which would have been the Haftorah yesterday if it wasn't the fact that today was what? Rosh Chodesh. So it's just amazing. You don't need any Bible codes, right? The psukim in Tanakh, in the Chumash, all point to what? To what's happening now this week, right? That's pretty amazing. Wow. Now, many people say that what? That seeing is believing, right? Nechama, seeing is believing. But King David in Psalm says something else. King David in Psalm says, Lulei hamanti, if I didn't have a munah, lirot betuv Hashem, then I couldn't see the goodness of God. Not seeing is believing. To believe is to see. We daven every day, Yehuda v'sechzeno einenu, let my eyes see. God, pull away the spiritual cataracts. There's so many miracles happening in Chaim daily. Do we appreciate it? V'techzeno einenu. May our eyes see all the miracles. Not seeing is believing. King David says in Psalm 27, Lulei hamanti, because I believed, then I could see the goodness of Hashem. There's so much goodness here in this country. Why focus on the negative? Chaim, you got to accent the positive and accentuate the positive, right? We have to cherish Eretz Yisrael daily. Rashi tells us in Parshas Bo that Eretz Yisrael is a gift that keeps on giving. And we have to cherish it every day. So not that what seeing is believing, but because I believed, then I could see to appreciate B'tuv Hashem. There's so much goodness here, and just to what? To focus on it, right? To appreciate the miracles. That we're living the miracle, the dream of Amos from 2,800 years ago to come back and rebuild desolate cities and make the desert bloom. I mean, the pictures of Pisgat Zev, where I live, before and after. It's like a moonscape to Gan Eden.
Wow.
You listening to me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
If you want to feel God's presence, go to the Kotel. Mm-hmm. If you want to see God's presence, go to Shuk Machna Yehuda.
Quote Rabbi Gold.
Rabbi Shalom Gold.
I love it.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. King David says, Lulei hamanti, if I didn't have a munah, I could not see in the goodness of Hashem. Because I believed, then I could see to appreciate Hashem's goodness. Right? Seeing is believing. Many people see. They don't know what to look at. If you have a munah, then you know what you are looking at, what you're looking at, right? To appreciate what?
What kind of glasses?
It depends what type of glasses you're looking at, right? 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 Depends. If your glasses are what? Foggy, and you don't know what you're seeing, then what? Now, isn't it amazing, Yehuda, that in 1948 there were such miracles here? Such miracles. I had a friend of mine who fought. They came off the boat from the Europe. They gave him a rifle, didn't know which end is up. They didn't know which end is up, Moshe. You hear this? Miracles like you wouldn't believe. You know what they had? The Jordanians had tanks. Egyptians had an air force. We had sewer pipes. Seltzer bottles and sewer pipes. It's not a joke. My friend lived and he told me what happened. They had no artillery. They planted sewer pipes on top of the hill with the mouth pointed up. So the Jordanian tanks were coming from far away. It looks like artillery. Wow. What happened? They turned around. Then they had these World War I planes. They had no bombs. They dropped seltzer bottles. And seltzer bottles on the way down whistle. Right. Woo! So it frightened them. The Davidka cannon. The cannon Davidka. One little cannon made a lot of noise. Didn't do much damage. One little Davidka. That's what the Israeli army had. They had a Piper Cub with seltzer bottles. You hear this? Sewer pipes and the Davidka cannon, which you see today by Davidka. Miracle shebe miracles.
Wow, Rabbi.
Huh? Nisim shebe nisim. So how come we didn't capture Yerushalayim? Buddy, how come we didn't capture Yerushalayim? Why? Why? Why not in 48, only in 67? Why? There's a pasuk in Psalm Kuf Chov Dalet, Shir HaMalot LeDavid. Yerushalayim habnuya ke'ir shechubra yachtav. Yerushalayim can only be built up ke'ir shechubra yachtav, when all the Yidden are what? Chaverim, one. You hear that? King David Psalm 122. Shemechaber kol Kof Chof Bet. Slicha. Shir HaMalos Kof Chof Bet. Shir HaMalos David. Yerushalayim habnuya. Yerushalayim can only be reunited ke'ir shechubra yachtav. But in 1948, Chaim, Moshe, there was no Achdut. There was Irgun, there was Etzel, there was Haganah, Lechi. Only in 1967, when there was one Sahal, reunited, and it feels so good. No Irgun, no Haganah, no Etzel. In 67, there was only one Sahal. Only then can we get Yerushalayim, right?
Yes.
Wow. Yerushalayim can only be united when the Jewish people are united. We are worst own enemies. If the Jewish people were united, we wouldn't have to be afraid of Abu Mamzer or John Balkari. We wouldn't have to be afraid of them. We are worst own enemies.
It didn't help we had the Altalena, the destruction of the Altalena.
That was in 1948. That's right. That's why we could.
Killing of Holocaust survivors.
That's why we couldn't get Yerushalayim. But in 1967, Baruch Hashem, all the Jewish people what? One IDF. The country was so united then. You could, Moshe, you felt that electricity in the air? Mashiach could have come. Mashiach would have come, could have come. We slammed the door in his face when Moshe Dayan gave the keys to the Temple Mount back to the Waf. Kol Dodi Dofek. God was knocking. Who's that knocking on your door? God gave us the Yerushalayim on a platter, the Temple Mount. So what does Dayan do? He tells the IDF to take down the Israeli flag. Take down the Israeli flag. And he gave the keys to the temple to the Waf. Rav Gorin, Zatzal, writes in his memoirs, he said, Dayan, now is the time. Destroy that gold pimple and we'll build the Beis HaMikdash. Now is the time. So he said to him, he say one more word, I'll throw you in jail. Rav Gorin writes this in his memoirs. Wow. That was the time. Mashiach was knocking on the door. But what did we do, David? We slammed the door in his face. Kol Dodi Dofek. Yes? Unfortunately. What?
Diane said, you know, when we got the old city and the base and the Rabbi, he said, what do we need this Vatican for?
What do you mean, the Vatican?
Yes, that's, he said.
He called it the Vatican.
What did we need this Vatican? He called the Rabbi the Vatican. And not only that, you know, when we got Hebron, he told the people in Hebron, no, it's all right, you can stay, you don't have to worry, we're not going to go after you. Because they were all afraid, terrified that we would do to them what they did to us in 29. And that's why we haven't got
It's true. So who captured Hebron? You can look this up in Rav Gorin's memoirs. Who captured Hebron, Moshe? Rav Gorin and his driver. Not a joke. Rav Gorin and his driver in a jeep, they drove up to Hebron. You hear? With a Sefer Torah, because Marsal Pela. And all of a sudden the Arabs started waving white bed sheets. They couldn't believe it. Rav Gorin and his driver, and the Arabs are waving white bed sheets. So Gorin calls up Yitzchak Rabin, the IDF commander, says, listen, send some soldiers. I just captured Hebron for you.
Wow. And the Rebbe.
Miracles shall be miracles. And what did we do? We slammed the door in the face.
The Rebbe said that's when we should have driven after the Arabs.
That was the time.
They would have
Right? But with all the problems, yes, But there's a pasuk in Tilim Kof Chof Ches. How do you say that in English? Tilim 128. Yirech Hashem Mitzion, Urei B'tuv Yerushalayim. Even though there's problems, and we have weak-kneed leaders, but King David in Psalm Kuf Chof Ches says, Urei B'tuv Yerushalayim. When you're looking at Jerusalem, you should only see what? The good. Is the glass half empty, or is the glass half full? When you're looking at Jerusalem, you always have to look at what? The glass being half full. Yirech Hashem et Zion. When will God bless us in Zion? When? Urei b'tuv Yerushalayim. When we see only what? When we focus what? There's so much good here. There's so much, despite the problems and the tzarot, David. There's so much good here. So Hashem wants us to focus on the good. And when enough of us do that, we wouldn't have to wait to the year 5845.
There you go.
Wouldn't have to wait. Wouldn't have to run out the clock, Nechama. Why should we run out the clock? We have to see only the good in each other and focus on the good in Eretz Yisrael. That's what Hashem wants. There's a famous story by Rabbi Eliyahu Kitov. You heard of him? Yeah. Rabbi Eliyahu Kitov, who didn't hear of him? So once a Hasidic Rebbe came to visit him from Borough Park. True story. You can look it up in his book. So they're taking a walk down Rehov Yaffa in Yerushalayim. Rabbi Eliyahu Kitov and this Hasidic Rebbe. The Hasidic Rebbe, and it's summertime. And some ladies are not dressed properly. So the Hasidic Rebbe says, Feh, Feh, also geht man ungetein.
Translate, please.
I can't translate that. How do you translate that? Nicht shame. So Rabbi Eliyahu Kitov grabs him. He says, what's the matter with you? Noch a mitzvah, noch a mitzvah. Every step you take in Israel is a mitzvah. What are you looking at those women? Put your eyeballs back in the socket. Noch a mitzvah, noch a mitzvah. Every step you take in Israel is a mitzvah.
That's good.
So what do you want to see? Look at the good. You know, Yeshua ben Nun and Kaleb ben Yefunah, they came back with a report. They told the truth, right? The Meraglim came back with a report. Did they lie?
No.
They didn't lie. Nachmanides says they didn't lie. Remember Dragnet? Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts. Dragnet. So Nachmanides says, what do you want from the Meraglim? They didn't lie. Yeshua and Kalev didn't lie. But Yeshua and Kalev, what did they look for? The good.
That's good.
The Meraglim looked for the negative. They looked for the bad. Rabbi Eliyahu Kitov said to the Rebbe, you're like a Meragel. Even with your beard and payas and a lange kapota, you're like a Meragel. What are you looking at the negativity in Eretz Yisrael? You want to follow the Meraglim? Shua and Kalev, look at the positive. Noch a mitzvah, noch a mitzvah. You see the joggers running by, you have to say mitzvah, noch a mitzvah. Moshe, mitzvah tzichas kavana. Gemara in Ksubas, page 110 says, every step you take in Israel is a mitzvah. And the Rambam Hilchas Malachim codifies it. David. Every step you take in Israel is a mitzvah.
That's right.
So what are you looking at the women that are not dressed properly for? What do you want to see in Eretz Yisrael? Do you want to follow the Meraglim, or do you want to follow what? Yeshua and Kalev. So that's our challenge. That's our challenge, to say Hallel, to appreciate the state of Israel. To appreciate the state of Israel. Now, why is the state called Israel, not Yaakov? I'm not joking. They debated what to call it. The state of Jacob. Oh, Elisheva, you're cooking with gas. Because when Yaakov was born, it says, V'yodoi ochezet bakav Esav. When Yaakov was born, his hand was holding on Akev, to the heel. Right? But God changed his name, Yisrael. What does Yisrael mean? Sar El, the Prince of God. You don't have to hold on to anybody's heel. You don't have to hold on to Obama's heel. Right? You're Sar El, Yisrael. Sar El, the Prince of God. Therefore, the Vatican, for the longest time, refused to say the word Yisrael. You know that? I'm not joking. They wouldn't say the word Yisrael. Because to acknowledge that we are the Prince of God, they finally got the bone out of their throat. It took how many? 60 years, right? To acknowledge, to recognize the state of Israel, right?
We ruined that theology.
That's right, their replacement theology, right? We bankrupted their replacement theology, right? That's right. But finally, right? Now, many people say that Eretz Yisrael today, you shouldn't say Hallel because it's the Tzionim. Listen to this. Rabbi Yosef Zecher Tzadik Levracha, Rabbi Abraham, in Yabia Omer, volume 6, section 41. Look it up. Who's more Haredi than Rabbi Yosef? In his sefer called Yabia Omer, volume 6, section 41. Right, there was a proclamation made in the 20th of Tevet in the year 5709. The Jewish state was proclaimed in the year what? 5708. In the following year, in the 20th of Tevet, 5709, Rabbi Yosef writes, there was a Dat Torah Paskavilia. How do you say that in English? Paskavilia? Dat Torah Paskavilia, that the founding of the Strait of Israel is Aschalte de Gula. Aschalte de Gula, what does that mean? The beginning of the final redemption. Over 200 Haredi rabbis signed it. Among them was Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, Rav Ovadia Yosef, Rav Tzvi Pesach Frank. Who's more Haredi than they are? Huh? 5709, proclamation of Das Torah. 200 Haredi rabbis signed it, among them Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, Rav Tzvi Pesach Frank, Rav Ovadia Yosef, that the founding of the state of Israel is Aschalte de Gula. And in that year, they all said Hallel.
Wow.
Today, we're more frum or more krum? I don't know. Zisel, I don't know. What happened? Huh? I don't know what happened. To deny the miracle? To be a kaful toiv? To deny the miracle? What Hashem doing for us? How could you not say Hallel? Chizkiyahu Melech didn't say Hallel, and the Talmud says because of him, Mashiach didn't come 2,500 years ago. What?
What happened to their followers?
What happened to their followers?
Rabbi Sprecher,
Do you know when the Panovich Rosh Hashiva was alive? Panovich Rosh Hashiva, Rivka, you know this? Every Yom HaAtzma'ut, he would put up an Israeli flag. Try that today.
and he would tell
They still do it today? I don't know.
He would tell people, don't you dare take it down.
What?
He would tell people,
Don't you dare take it down, right?
And I can tell you another story, Rabbi Sprecher.
Yeah.
My son, my oldest son, went to a yeshiva high school in Tel Aviv, the first yeshiva high school to be opened. It's called the Yishuv Hadash.
Right,
It was founded by Mizrahi Rav Amiel.
right,
The next Rosh Hashiva was Rosh Hashiva for about 50 years, was a Talmud of Rav Shimon Shkop.
right,
He was the last, and one of the last Talmidim of Rav Shimon Shkop to be alive.
right,
And he was a Haredi Rav, and all the Ramim in the shul, in the yeshiva were Haredim.
right,
They took Hatzofei as their newspaper every day,
right.
and on Yom HaAtzma'ut they said Hallel with a
What
bracha.
a bracha. Haredi rabbis.
Nasi Shul on Thursday morning will say hello with the
So what happened today? I don't know. What happened? I think it's called frummed out. I don't know. What is it?
Money, greed.
I don't know what it is. But anyway, let's not talk. You have to stay positive. We have an obligation to praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? If we say Hallel on Pesach Hanoch, for the miraculous victory over Paroi, we should certainly say Hallel on Yom HaAtzma'ut for God's great miraculous victory over Hitler. Over Hitler. Where is Hitler? Where are we? right?
That's right.
The Jewish people are thriving physically and spiritually.
That's right.
There's a double victory over Hitler.
That's it.
So the least we can do is what? Is say Hallel. Thursday we have no class because it's Yom HaAtzma'ut.
Today is Mother's Day in America, so happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Thursday there's no class. We meet again next Sunday.